all assets are going up and down in this 4-year cycle, as is the economy, as are interest rates. It's all due to 2008 and resetting interest rates back to zero, all the major governments around the world. They then issued their debt in this 3 to 5 year sector. So let's call it 4 years on average. And this debt refinancing cycle is the cycle that drives Bitcoin, all crypto, all assets. It's also the presidential cycle. They're all the same thing right now. Right, this is this super correlated world.
Yeah.
So within it, the first part, what I call macro spring, which is what we've been in, the early part of a bull market, when inflation is starting to fall, growth is still falling, but starting to try and stabilize somewhere. Normally, that's when Bitcoin outperforms. It's like in the beginning of a bond market rally, it's treasuries that outperform. Then as people get confidence and more liquidity comes in the system, they start taking more risk and it goes further out the risk curve. And that's when the alts start performing. So we're transitioning currently from macro crypto spring to macro crypto summer. So that's what's known as alt season. And it starts with the higher quality tokens first. And then at the end of it in 2025, it's kind of everything goes up. The regular macro cycle is exactly as you're saying. The central bank is involved in this because it has to help refinance the government finance debt. So they do want to get interest rates lower. We are seeing some bigger dynamics here, which is we could see a huge amount of capital coming in because of the ETF. And because of a lot of people are building on real world assets. You know, we're seeing money transmission mechanism stuff being done. We're seeing, you know, new use cases of NFTs. They were new for the last cycle. You know, what are we going to use them for? When Solana can mint 1 million NFTs for $100, well, you can use it for ticketing. You can do all sorts of things we can't yet imagine. And we've got the CBDCs are going to be rolled out in some places within this cycle, which is, again, using the underlying chain and the ongoing growth of stable coins. And we're seeing brands come into the space to use kind of Web3 as a way forward for new business models, which is why I call it the everything everywhere all at once. Its bear market was the same as all the other bear markets. So even though we went through this extraordinary macro situation, Bitcoin went down 76%. It's kind of does that every time, you know? And so I think just what happens is as liquidity comes out of the system, liquidity comes out of cryptocurrencies, as it does out of emerging markets, as it does out of commodities, as it does out of all of these things. When liquidity comes back, it comes back. But each drawdown from every bear market in Bitcoin is less than the last. It's like ETH first time around was 97.5% down.
Wow.
Second time, 80%. Third time, probably 70%. You know, Solana, first cycle down 98.5%. Next cycle, if it does well and thrives, right, it will be 80%.
Right.
And Bitcoin will be less the next time around. The only thing that's changed really, look, the Lightning Network hasn't really taken off. So as a payments rail, and we've got very efficient other payments rails, you know, faster, cheaper chains that have been less centralized than the Lightning Network. I think ordinals are interesting because by actually putting the asset on chain, you're creating maybe a super safe storage because you're using the Bitcoin blockchain. Yes, it's inefficient. Yes, it's expensive, but my God, it's safe. Yeah, it's secure. So, okay, that's a really interesting thing. And people are just experimenting with it. So I don't know if it changes a lot, Bitcoin, but the other ecosystems, well, they can adapt and change because just by nature of what they are and how the chains work. Is Android the best phone? Excellent. It's once you've got network scale, it becomes a career decision to build on something else. Right. So, you know, ETH has got all the component parts. It's got incredible density of talent, intellectual capital, and it has an enormous network of applications and use cases. So it's actually a decision. If you're a big brand and you're coming into the space and you want to do something, you have to argue why not use ETH.
Right.
So that's the issue. That doesn't, like you believe, that doesn't mean there will just be one.
Right.
there will be a whole number of chains for different types of applications, and some will compete against each other. But overall, again, the key point is we are building this distributed world and a whole parallel financial system, and we should be encouraging everybody to have success. My thesis is the more you experiment, the more likely you are to lose money. That doesn't mean people shouldn't, but a lot of people are much better at understanding the risks that they're taking.
Right.
When you're using a DeFi protocol or you're using this and that. Yes, I buy NFTs. Yes, I use a bit of DeFi here and there, but I'm super cautious. So I haven't really explored the XRP ecosystem. I haven't done it on most chains too much. I've never used Ethereum DeFi because I don't want to, because I don't want to put my coins outside of my wallet. It's as simple as that for a 5% yield. Right. I have done a little bit more on Solana just because the user experience is so easy versus other things. I'm much more heavily weighted to Solana for this cycle because I saw two big technological breakthroughs. One is these compressed NFTs. You can mint 1 million NFTs for $100. Okay, that's game changing. For what? We don't know. We will find out. But it's not monkey JPEGs. It's going to be something different. The other thing was this Fire Dancer that can theoretically get to 1 million TPS. I mean, that's a whole game changer. You can put a lot more of the financial system on that.
Right.
So those two things, and then how user-friendly, consumer-facing Solana is, and the strength of the development community made me think, okay, this is probably the chosen one for this cycle. Other things will outperform, of course. We are still early, but we're not super early. And I would suggest that the cycle that lies ahead that we've started is probably the cycle that I refer to as the everything, everywhere, all at once cycle, where we do see adoption from every angle. What I really discovered, and I've been in the space for a long time, but it was really from about 2017 onwards, you realized how many smart people were in the space and the diversity of people, from music artists to financiers to technologists to lawyers to accountants to all sorts of entrepreneurs. And it was moving at this lightning pace. And I think you've had the same breakthrough. It's like, this is fantastic because I feel like I'm part of something that has a mission. The whole space has a mission. We're doing something good because we're building a new system and we're also making money in the process. And we're attracting an incredible community of the world's smartest, most engaged people. It's like, what's not to love? All of the same things that drive all other asset prices drive crypto. So I could use a framework that I understood to do this. Yes, there's a lot of other stuff you need to learn with crypto.